everybody's heard about Bitcoins by now, but, a lot of people just don't know exactly what they are. There's a lot of confusion around them, but there's a great deal of interest as well. If you want to go and find out everything you ever wanted to know about digital currency and Bitcoin, there's a Coinfest currency conference happening at the Siegel Graduate School of Business on Sunday from 10 to 6. Mike Young is an SFU art student, and he's also the founder of the Simon Fraser Bitcoin Club, and he joins us now. How are you, Mike?
Very good. How are you doing?
I'm excellent, thanks. So what attracted you to this, first of all? What do you like about Bitcoin?
When I first got into it, I was just a Bitcoin miner, so I wanted to make a little bit of money by mining Bitcoins. But over time, I stayed in the game because it's such a cool invention. It's just like this new monetary policy where the creation of money is not controlled by any one party. It's very decentralized.
Well, and that's been the attraction for people. It's also been the thing that people have criticized a little bit. But you mentioned that you did some of the mining of Bitcoins. Explain that, because that'll give people some insight into the process of how it's made and how it's valued as well.
Sure. Essentially, for me to send a Bitcoin from A to B, there needs to be a third party to verify that transaction. So in the Bitcoin protocol, this is all done globally over many other people's computer, and we call them miners. What they do is they verify that the transaction is good, and as a reward for doing this process, they're rewarded with a little bit of Bitcoin.
How much Bitcoin for doing the mining right now?
Right now, globally, there's 25 new Bitcoin generated every 10 minutes. And that's divided between all the people that are mining according to how much computer power they put in.
Very interesting. Now, of course, even today, actually, there's been lots of news about Bitcoin because someone has been using a flaw, which nobody knew was there, obviously, in the Bitcoin protocol to do a little bit of fraud. Can you explain what's happening with this and maybe alleviate some of people's misinformation?
What essentially is that some of the major exchanges that you can buy and sell Bitcoins on, they haven't updated their version of the software. This bug had actually been known for about 2 years, but I guess the people running the exchange were pretty lazy about updating their software. And as a result, the way they count their Bitcoin in their system was completely wrong. So when I send a person a Bitcoin, every time I do that, I generate a new transaction, a unique transaction for that. And what they've done on their end on the exchange is when somebody sends Bitcoin to the exchange, they only count the transaction. They don't wait until the Bitcoin actually arrives there and total up the balance of Bitcoin. So right now the problem is a lot of people are trying to withdraw Bitcoins from certain exchanges, and these exchanges don't actually have the Bitcoin.
Oh, very interesting. So is this some of the stuff you'll talk about at the Coinfest Currency Conference this weekend? I mean, like I say, a lot of people are interested, but they don't feel like they know enough to participate now.
Oh, yeah, this is exactly what Coinfest is for. It's for everybody and anybody. All the events are free. So Coinfest runs on Saturday and Sunday, and the event on Sunday will have a lot of local entrepreneurs who are getting into the Bitcoin game, and they can definitely tell you all about Bitcoin in a really easy to understand manner that anybody can understand.
Now, Mike, Bitcoin is just one of the digital currencies. I mean, does this umbrella out to everything as well, and just sort of explain what it is that's going on in the digital currency world, or do you focus in on Bitcoin specifically?
Well, Bitcoin is kind of like the umbrella branch of every other cryptocurrency that spawned after it. Yeah. But certainly there's a lot of other variations that exist out there. Right now there's probably like over 200, maybe even 2,000 different virtual currency that exist. But because Bitcoin is the one that came out of the gate first, and it has thus far 5 years of history, it is still the most popular and most widely used. But of course, cryptocurrencies based off of Bitcoin run in a really similar manner, so we can't really avoid talking about other cryptocurrencies. Yeah, so and everything will be covered.
And I find every time someone tries to criticize it and say, well, it's used in money laundering and illicit transactions, you just have to look around at the banking system to know that goes on. That goes on with every currency.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what else is covered? Do you guys have speakers there?
Yeah, we'll have speakers. We will have about 8 speakers that we invited from different aspects of Bitcoin. So we have people who run exchanges, including the people who brought the first Bitcoin ATM in the world to Vancouver. Yeah. You have people who are into educating the public about Bitcoin and establishing new organization in different parts of the world to educate the public. And you have also people who are involved in bringing new ATM technology into Vancouver.
Now, do you keep it fairly simple for people as well? So, if they just want to go, okay, how do I actually do this? How do I buy a Bitcoin? How do I get the wallet? How do I do all those things? Do you have people that can help out the first little baby steps?
Oh, yeah, we can actually do that. We hosted our very own first Bitcoin wallet workshop about 2 weeks ago, and we're planning to do one probably in early March. And if you just come by to Coinfest, there'll be a lot of people willing to help out on that as well.
Mike, how much do you use it? How much are you using it personally as an investment, and how much are you using it as an actual currency to buy products?
I tend to spend Bitcoin as often as I can. If I'm able to, if I find something that I need to buy and it's available in Bitcoin, I usually support the merchant that are taking this initiative by spending my Bitcoins. So this can mean buying computer hardware online or buying shoes online, and it can mean getting a haircut in Vancouver for Bitcoins as well. In terms of investments, I do day trade a little bit in Bitcoin, but that's not my main focus. But I do have a little bit of holding in Bitcoin.
How much have you seen, sort of an uptick in businesses that are actually using Bitcoin to, use to do transactions?
In Vancouver, in the last 9 months alone, ever since I got involved in the local Bitcoin meetup, we went from maybe 1 or 2 restaurants back in May to now over a dozen, if not more, restaurants taking Bitcoin locally. And in terms of internationally, well, it just has skyrocketed in the last 12 months. Like Overstock.com now takes Bitcoin, Play Your Contacts take Bitcoin. You can even go to space using Bitcoin if you have that kind of money.
If you have that kind of
Virgin Galactica. So
if you got that kind of Bitcoin, you're going to space. I find it so interesting because every time you talk about Bitcoin, you really start talking about monetary policy in a lot of places as well. I mean, the conservative government came out today and said, this is something that we're looking at and we're thinking about, trying to regulate. China, of course, clamped down in a certain way. But, I think part of the attraction to Cryptcoin for a lot of people is it is outside that system, and this will be very challenging for governments to have any sort of impact on.
I totally agree with that. And in fact, the government themselves are really careful about not totally shutting out any innovation that has to do with Bitcoin.
Yeah.
For example, in the U.S., back in November last year, they had a Senate hearing about this, and most people expected the government to be totally anti-Bitcoin. But it turns out even the chairman of the Fed actually came out and said Bitcoin represents this really important new innovation for our world to be more efficient. So we have to be very careful in how we regulate it to not drive entrepreneurs outside of North America into other countries.
Yeah,
so
well,
definitely, they have to be very careful in how they regulate it.
Well, and I think the media plays a role in that as well, in telling the proper stories the proper way when it comes to Bitcoin. I mean, it's really easy to focus on things like what happened in Silk Road today and people trying to cheat the system. But, I say again, you have to look at the banking system in general to see that this happens with currency regardless of what it is. And this is it's a really innovative, really interesting way to think about deregulating ourselves from this current currency system that we have.
Yeah, I think this just represents a way for people to, once you learn about Bitcoin, to use it efficiently, just like email. And the other aspect of this exactly is that it's not like Bitcoin is the end-all be-all thing, but it's a way for people to think about these issues, and to see how we can improve our financial system. Because if you're a person living in Argentina right now, you're suffering from, on average, 25% inflation per year.
Yeah.
And, you can say, but it's all government regulated, it's all safe, but in the end, you're kind of being oppressed. So that's also not very good for the average person. Yeah,
cryptocurrencies are here to stay in one form or another, so it's better to get informed about it and find out. Mike, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Mike Young, founder of the Simon Fraser Bitcoin Club. They are having a Coinfest currency conference this weekend at the Siegel Graduate School of Business on Sunday from 10 to 6. Go down there, get some information on what's going to happen in the future because it's a-coming. Thanks again, Mike.
Thank you.
All right, really appreciate you've got it on the shift on CKNW News Talk 980. You can just donate your Bitcoins to us. I'll open my wallet to you.